And good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever time of day it is. Now, first of all, I hope this is working. Please do let me know in the chat. I'm actually using the tablet for the chat today. I'm just going to spin my head around to make sure that it looks correct, which it does. Now, this is going to be interesting to see if the on-screen chat overlay works today, because I have connected it and I have it turned on, but I am not seeing anything. So I can see Bruce. Hello, Bruce. How are you? Hello. I'm going to write hello. Or hi, Lou, as I've actually just written. Now, I can't tell if that's actually working or not. Let's actually have a look. Oh, it's turned off. That's why. It helps if I actually turn the chat overlay on, doesn't it? So it is Sunday night once again. Good evening, Phil. Good evening, everyone. I hope you are well. I'm just going to make sure that I am live everywhere I am expecting to be live. Yes, yes, yes. This all looks good. So I think we are up and running. Now, tonight, I've got quite a bit to talk about. No overlays here. Yeah, I forgot to turn it on, Bruce. I turned it off the other day. Completely my fault. So, yeah, we'll see how the chat overlay works. It looks quite good, I think. I think that looks okay. How does it look on my screen up here? Yeah, I can see it. I'm looking at it live on the tablet as well, just to see how it looks. Yeah, I think it's okay. Okay, we will give that a try, let's just say. I hope you are all well wherever you are. It's nice to see you in the chat, Phil. Hope you are good. We've got 4 of you lovely people out there watching. I'm just going to adjust one thing to keep my phone where I can see it, because it's not staying put. Although the iPhone's meant to actually have a nice rubber case, it isn't. But it just helps me keep an eye on how many people we've got watching. Is this on MySpace yet? No, I'm only doing YouTube and Facebook. I haven't looked into that new platform called MySpace yet, Bruce. I'm probably going to change my stream platform. Before I get into the stream, I am probably going to jump onto a different one. I'm currently using Cast R, and I might change. I haven't quite decided yet. I want to try one of the other ones. It's not cheap. They cost £10 $10 a month, so it's worth it. It's worth it. But we will see. So tonight, what are we going to talk about? Well, we're going to talk a bit more about this whole Fat Shark thing, because a bit more information has come to light. I've got a bit more I want to say on this, and it's going to be interesting to see where it heads up. Looking across at my running list, we're then going to talk a little bit about the Wave, which is a new camera from Freefly Systems, and it's actually a little bit of an odd one, this, and I don't really know what to make of this, but we will come on to it. And we want to talk a bit about DJI as well, and actually some comments Gary has quite rightly made about something that has changed in the last week or so, or not so much changed, but something which is quite big, which has very much fallen under the radar. Now, it hasn't really fallen under the radar with myself, and I suspect a few others. I just haven't really had a chance to dig into it enough and talk about it a bit more, because there's a lot to it, and it's around these blue UAS and what's allowed to be used and what isn't, and it's quite a complicated and difficult subject at the best of times, but we will see how it goes. Anyway, before we get into the stream, I just want to say thank you to everyone who is watching. If you are new here, please do consider hitting that subscribe button. The first thing I'm going to do is talk about Fat Shark. If there are any questions, please put them in the comments. I have it up. I have it looking. I really love to hear from you guys. Hopefully that is all working as it should be on screen as well. Hopefully the audio is all as it should be as well, because I have messed with things a little bit this week. I'm making a video on what I've done with the audio, which means I've had to take it apart and put it back together. But it's stuff you guys won't be interested in. Now, just before I get into the Fat Shark, I finally put out the video this week. I think I put it out. I should check. I put out the video on the multimeter. That one definitely went live this week. Which is quite interesting. If you haven't seen it, it's worth checking it out. It's the East Tester. It's the one just out of shot there. You can just see that much of it. That's how much I'm going to let you see today of this one. I'd suggest checking out the real video if you want to find out more. East Tester ET3240, worth a look. Fairly interesting bench multimeter, fairly cheap, but certainly doesn't come without its problems. I've got my obligatory cup of tea tonight as well, and I've also got myself, I had 2 Jaffa cakes, but I can tell you now that there is only one, because I've eaten one. And I have 2 chocolate biscuits. Currently your latest video. It is currently my latest video, Bruce. This would probably be currently my latest video. Now, I haven't really had a chance to do much this week because I'm still working on my loft conversion for my Ferrari. For those of you who are regulars of the channel, just to give you an update, the loft conversion is going in. The mechanical opening roof has now been finished for me to be able to automatically crane in and out my Ferrari, because obviously I'm a YouTuber, therefore we make loads of money, tons of cash, you know, literally it is everywhere. So I ordered the new Ferrari, and I'm converting my loft because I'm going to keep the Ferrari in my loft, because that's where you keep Ferraris, is it not? So I've been working on that a lot this week. I've been doing the dry lining. It leaves more room for the Lambo, because you can't have the Lambo and the Ferrari on the drive at the same time, and that is the problem. So you do need the space. So I've been doing that this week. I've been knee deep in plasterboard and filler and lots of that stuff. And that's pretty much all I've done this week. Is we're getting there now. Pretty much sanding, lots of sanding left to do. Been doing a lot of sanding. Staircase is arriving middle of the week. Yeah, we are getting there. But anyway, let's get on and talk about some stuff. Good evening, Mark. Nice to see you. Welcome to it. So the first thing I want to talk a little bit about is this Fat Shark thing. Now, let me put myself up in the corner. I did a video on this, as there's a few others. Mine, Pavel did one as well. Far more views than mine. Joining on Live's done one. RC Model Reviews has done one, that dodgy guy. And a few others, really. And the big news was that Fat Shark has been acquired by Redcat Holdings. Now, a little bit more information has come to light on this now. And that really is around the deal itself. You know, what it was. And the deal has actually been published on the US State and Securities Exchange Commission website, because as these things always do. And I'm not going to dive too much. But the basics of this deal are as follows, which is Redcat have agreed to acquire Fat Shark. The total value of the transaction is $7 million. However, that is a headline figure, and really it means nothing at this point, because I'll explain a bit more about what that 7 million is. But the total on paper agreement is $7 million, of which $5,750,000 is in shares of Redcat. So just over 5.75 million is in Redcat shares. There is then a secure note holding of $1 million, and then there's $250,000 in cash. So the basics of this deal is that, let me get it up on the full screen, that Redcat have agreed to swallow Fat Shark for, on paper, $7 million, of which 5.75 million is in Redcat shares. 1 million is in a secure bond, and I don't really understand what that is myself. I've not looked into it enough, but it certainly doesn't appear to be cash in hand. And then there's 250,000 cash in hand. So right now, you could say that the deal are done for $250,000. Now, this isn't particularly unusual, as Bruce has quite rightly said. It's nothing unusual here. However, the interesting part about it is you've got a deal with 5.75 million in shares of a company which no one really knows how they're going to make money. So right now, the deal is very much done to keep the people involved still involved, as Bruce has quite rightly said. You know, you don't want them to cash out and disappear. You know, Greg has been the person that set Fat Shark up. and he's still involved, and they want that to continue. But it is interesting that there's basically 250 grand in cash. Yeah, exactly, and that's the interesting part I was going to come on to, Bruce. Basically 250 grand in cash, a £1 million bond, not quite sure of that, but £5.75 million in magical A shares is the easiest term. Now, the interesting part that Bruce just quite interestingly said is a lot of time these things are done to make companies look worth a lot more than they are. As Typist just said, the company was simply dead at 250 grand. I think what you've got to look at with this is Fat Shark are a company that have very successfully built up a brand selling a product, but there really isn't any IP here. You know, if we take a look at the Dominators, you know, I haven't even bothered looking for what patterns they've got, but we all know that there are lots of FPV goggles out there. You've got the Sky Zones, you've got all of this. It is a product that can be easily replicated, easily manufactured, and sold fairly cheaply, depending on what components and products you use. So what is being bought you is a name. You're not buying IP, they are buying a name, which is Fat Shark. And that is the crux of this deal. It's not like there's some very interesting inherent tech here. If anything, you know, Fat Shark have really lagged behind, you know, A, on a power button, as Bruce has quite rightly said, but B, the DVRs. You know, the DVRs and all of the Fat Sharks have been a bone of contention forever. And whilst they do make good gear, you know, these are my Dominator, I think these are Doms V2s. I've had them for quite a long time. But these are the only FPV goggles I wanted from Fat Shark. There are lots of other ones out there. Bought these 3+4 years ago, but they do what I want them to do. And they're fine for me. And the reason I bought these is they do have a HDMI input. So if I do go on the overheads, you know, if I go put them down there, you know, this is the Dominator HD. I think this is Dominator Vision 2s off the top of my head, which has, you know, I got the module in it. We've got the HDMI in. I bought that so I could actually use it with my DJI gear if I wanted to, but it doesn't really work very well. But they're pretty painful to use at the best of times. You know, I got a, you know, we got a module, Fat Shark module under there. I've got no head tracker in this one. But yeah, they're just a standard set of FPV goggles, but there's nothing particularly special about them. And as people have said, it's just a basic product at the end of the day. So the reality of this deal here is quite interesting. Yes, there's 250 grand in cash, and there's a promise of some future value, potentially depending on what the brand happens to the brand and what Rotor Riot and what Redcat intend to do with it. Now, I've been thinking about this for quite a long time this week, and I don't know what your guys' thoughts are, and please do put it in the comments. I don't really get what they're going to do with Fat Shark here. I really don't. I honestly don't know what angle they're going to take with this, because the more I've thought about this week, they've taken on a liability of a company to manufacture a product when they have traditionally right now been a company that makes videos. Ignore Redcat a minute. Makes videos, they sell products, and they have had some dabblings in, not manufacturing, I think probably isn't the right term to use, but certainly own branded or OEM product. But I don't really see where their game is with this. And yes, they've got the capability of pushing the brand, but that could have been done by a partnership. They didn't need to own them to do that. So it does make you wonder why this deal happened. Where did this begin? What was the push to make this happen? Because reality is there could have been a very easy exclusive deal here, and Fat Shark carried on, and Rotor Riot did a deal. It makes you wonder to what they really wanted to do here, and whether it was really Fat Shark was interested in getting out in a period of time, and this is the step towards that. Maybe not today, but in 12 months, 14 months? Or was this pushed by Redcat as an opportunity to try and build a portfolio? I think as Bruce has said it here. But it's an interesting one. I'm going to take a by see. What do you think? Bruce's comment, Sky Zone have been in the market for nearly 5 years. Some would say a better product than Fat Shark continues to dominate. Yeah, and Fat Shark have done a really good job of marketing their product as well. They really have. You know, let's not pretend they're the best, because they're not. Bruce's Fat Shark are dominating. YouTube a 4 gig module. Yeah. You know, if someone like TBS had bought them, that would have made total sense to me. I can see that all day long. I really can. I can, you know, if someone like, you know, Team Black Sheep or someone like that did it, I can completely understand it. But Rotor Riot and Redcat, it's a strange one. It's a real strange one for me, that one. But we'll watch this space. Type E, the low prices they wanted to get out of the market. It's interesting, isn't it? Now, some people have asked me, the buying existed. Yeah, I probably agree with that, Bruce, and I'm surprised it hasn't been done. But, you know, my initial thoughts on this would have been a home around someone who has experience in developing products and bringing them forward to market. And Rotor Riot don't have that. Or does Redcat, as far as I can see, from a hardware product point of view. And again, we should remember the volumes in this are still very, very low. How many goggles do we honestly think are sold a year? It's not that many, really, you know, compared to most products. Yeah, Orca. Bruce's comment on Orca is very interesting. Yeah, you know, a lot of hype, a lot of noise, and you know, and the Orcas were very much pushed as the goggles for the future, fully upgradable. Lots of CPU power on board, lots of horsepower where you're going to be able to do a lot of this clever encoding and decoding and stuff on board with the hardware on board rather than external hardware. Yet it hasn't amounted to anything. But he did that with the Crossfire. Yeah, he did, you know, and it's interesting, as you say, you know, TBS have a lot of experience in bringing a product right through to market. So for me, it would have been quite an interesting home for them. But, you know, from a Fat Shark point of view, the next thing I want to comment on this is everything is still going ahead as if they were saying. And in fact, I'll show you this. You know, after the deal today on RC Groups, yesterday now on RC Groups, Fat Shark have said they finalized validation testing on Shark Byte. So this isn't Bite Frost. This is actually the new upcoming Shark Byte. Sample tested image, RF output, all looks good. They're not sending any issues, so they're sending some units to go to Get FPV on Tuesday. And some stuff is on its way to Joshua Bardwell as well. Now, as part of this statement on RC Groups, he has also said what early adopters are going to pay. And that is that the RX module and transmitter for Bite Frost purchasers is going to cost $250. So if you are a Bite Frost user today, you will be able to get a Shark Byte system for an additional $250. And that is for the early adopters only. Let me just bring up the comments again. And that is currently where the situation is. It's not available to buy yet. It's not available on the market to purchase for anyone. Get FPV are going to be having a number sent to them for the customers who originally bought Bite Frost, because Bite Frost was only ever available officially via Get FPV, as I understand it. So that is the current situation with Shark Byte. So it's still going ahead. The product is still in development. They've said they've got the, you know, near finished product, and Joshua Bardwell's getting a set now. And it's interesting because I believe Joshua Bardwell has had a set before, but he didn't make a video on it. So he clearly wasn't happy. And it's going to go out to the early adopters. So if you are an early adopter, they want another $250 from you, and they're going to give you Shark Byte. I'm not sure what people are going to think about that. I'm not sure what to make about that. You've already paid, I think, $450 I think it was $450. Let's just check. Frost. Get FPV. Let me just check what the cost was. $400. So it was $400. So you've already paid $400, and now you're gonna need another $250 to get the Shark Byte system as well. Just looking at the comments, how much did you do this particular increase? Yeah, Byte Shark. Yeah, they did. Yeah, very much. I had to get my sample via an indirect route. Which one have you got then, Bruce? Have you got Shark Byte or Byte Frost? Which one have you got your hands on? Just to confirm. How much has DJI had to do with this, particularly Big A, increasing moving towards digital? Yeah, look, this should be very simple. The new one. Ah, cool. This should be very simply put out. Fat Shark are working in partnership with DiviMath. DiviMath are the company that makes the chipset that Fat Shark are using. Fat Shark have not developed this system from the ground up. If you do the background on all of this, you'll see that DiviMath have been around for a little bit of time. It looks like they have been trying to get their chipset noticed and pushed in equipment, but no one was really interested. Then Fat Shark seemed to take up the mantle, and then it was developed a little bit because Byte Frost is very much DiviMath's own system. It's virtually identical. If you went on the DiviMath website, it looks identical. It's an existing system. The easiest term to use for Byte Frost is reference design. It is a reference design receiver and a reference design transmitter. The ground unit was exactly the same. Fat Shark have very much just taken what DiviMath had and ran with it, and it wasn't good enough, and it wasn't what people wanted, and that's why now they've gone back to the drawing board and produced this new goggles mount receiver, a new smaller ear unit which allows for better overall performance. The algorithm has been improved. It should improve latency, it should improve penetration, and you shouldn't get some of the issues that people were getting, which was extremely short range. But you are not going to be getting that 7 kilometers DJI again. Don't think for 1 minute you will. You're not going to get near it. It's not going to happen. DJI are doing things very, very differently. However, it is probably not a redesign. It's a version 2. But when you actually look at the history of Shark Byte and Byte Frost itself was very much DiviMath's product, and DiviMath sort of worked with Fat Shark to get it out into the market. If we actually bring up their website, it's probably still showing. DiviMath. So if we go on DiviMath, this is the company, and it was called HD0. Is the original name for the system. And when we scroll down, they give you some overview of how the system works. The transmission, the rolling shutter, all of this stuff. And then you've got the reference schematics, which is very much for the PCB, the layout. And then you've got, they were showing, yes, product. Here we go. And you had the VRX. These the two antenna monitor version. And then if we go product, there's the 4. Again, very much what Fat Shark shipped with Byte Frost. If we look at it there, the unit is it's different color plastic, but it is the same unit. It is basically the same unit. So it was very much, if you look at Byte Frost on that unit there, if we then go on to the product list and then bring up the VTX, it is identical. It really is. So that is, you know, the background to Bifrost. Shark Byte obviously is taking an all-new receiver built into the goggles mount, and then an all-new transmitter, smaller, lighter, but it doesn't have the DVR on board, and they've made some changes as well. So that's basically where this ends up today, and that's where we're at with this today, basically. So the basics of this are 250 grand in cash, 5.75 million in shares, £1 million in a bond. That's how much it costs to buy Fat Shark. Shark Byte is around the corner. Early adopters, people who bought Bifrost, you will get yours for $250. You need to speak to Get FPV. It'll be interesting to see how many of those early adopters are willing to give out another $250. It really is. Now, Bruce has said he's actually got one. I suspect I know where he's got his from. Have you flown it yet, Bruce? What's your thoughts? Looking into the comments. Helicopter's a funny, but a Spark Mavic Mini. Yeah, Shark Byte was sold as a beta product so people get what they pay for. They did, yeah, 100%. Big A, how much DJI had to do with it? And it is interesting, isn't you? Yeah, I'm waiting on the mail system. Is it gone to the right address? I hope you've settled into the new property as well. So that is the state of play with it. There's no way I'm going to be getting my hands on the new one. Bruce is, so I will be directing you to Bruce to talk about this when it's finally available. But that is the basic of where we're at with it, basically. So, you know, time's moving on. Where this leaves DJI, I'm not convinced they care. I really don't. I'm not convinced they're worried at all. I'm just not convinced it even is on the radar. Something I've learned a long time ago about DJI is they don't really care about competitors until they're major. And Fat Shark, whilst they'd have known about them, this has sold so well. The real interesting thing will be how Rotor Riot continue to handle their sales of DJI FPV, because, you know, when you go to Rotor Riot's website, Rotor Riot, at the top corner, you will see, there you go, official DJI dealer. You know, when you go under the menu and you go down to, you know, the top list below new products is DJI. You know, they are extremely prominent on their website. They sell all of their gear for the FPV. You know, so built FPV drones. It's clear they have been a big partner with DJI. So it's going to be interesting to see where this all ends up. It really, really is. Okay, so premium DJI Premium Shark Byte mid-range analog on a budget. Yeah, I'd agree with that, Bruce. I think the only caveat of this is going to be what the cost is. You know, a full DJI system is going to be, what's it, $700? It's about $700, $600 or $700. I think the problem with the Shark Byte system is, even if this sells for, say, $300, this kit, you've still got to have the goggles already, and you've still got to have goggles with HDMI input. So it's HDO, HDO2s, or these. Although, as Bruce says, Rotor Riot will push it for racing. We'll use a new DJI ban. Yeah, it could be. This could be a hedge in bets, but we'll have to see. We'll have to see. It's an interesting time, that is for sure. I'm just going to check in on Facebook. We have 22 people watching tonight. Wow, I am impressed, guys. Welcome, if you are new, on the 21 or 22 of you. If you are new, thank you for coming to the channel. Let me just check on Facebook. We have Facebook up and running as well. I don't know if there's anyone in the comments. I'm just trying to see, because the comments on Facebook don't work quite the same for me. How do I get my Facebook comments up? It's not working. Let me click on home, because I'd love to be able to see all. See, that's frustrating. Facebook is not showing me the comments. Why is Facebook not showing me the comments? Oh, it's foaming me now. Okay, let me just mute this. There's no comments. Okay, we figured it out. But, yeah, we're up and running. We are up and running. Thanks for the welcome. Hello, Ken. Welcome to the channel. Hope you are safe and well wherever you are in the world. Please do tell me. I'd be interested to know. Are you US side, UK side, anywhere else in the wonderful planet we all find ourselves in? Oh, I've still got audio. Let me turn the audio off on the laptop. Okay, so that's it for Fat Shark. We will see what happens in the near future. Lincoln. Oh, he's a man in the UK. Hello. I like Lincoln. I've been to Lincoln many, many times. Bruce is redirecting the whole of NCL traffic to Wales. I bet he is. Okay, the next thing I wanted to talk about, and this is a bit of a weird one, but it is drone related, so I am going to talk about it. And this is the Wave, and the Wave is a camera. I'm going to put myself up for this as well. It is a camera that's been released by Freefly Systems. Now, Freefly last week announced their new drone, and that was announced to a little bit of fanfare, which I've done a video on. If you haven't seen it, it's worth checking out. If you're interested, it's an industrial drone. I have forgotten what it's called. That's why I'm padding. Astro, sorry. I remember the specs and everything of it. I just couldn't think of the name. So it's a quad, about 1.4 meters with props, just over a meter without props. Large industrial grade aircraft, basically. How do I get rid of this bar at the top now it's come up? Look at their website playing up. Go away. Go away. Thank you. And they released the Astro last week. Now this has sort of been released alongside it as being capable for it, but it's a new continuous high-speed video camera designed for drone use, but designed for other use as well. But it's a bit of a weird one because Freefly are not a camera manufacturer. They're a drone manufacturer. And they're not known for integrating cameras into their systems heavily. They make the Movi gimbals and all other things like that as well. But they have released this. And it is a Super 35 capable of 4K 420 frames a second. 2K 1440 frames a second, has 2 terabytes onboard storage because it's got an SSD on board, and it can do up to 35-minute clip length. Now, it has no restrictions on clip length. It's 35 minutes at continuous capture at 4K to 2 terabytes. And it weighs 716 grams. Now, it's using the Sony E-mount camera lens system. And it's quite an interesting bit of kit because it's designed for drone use, but it's also designed for ground use as well. And they're just not the first company I would ever have imagined to release a high-speed camera, let alone an integrated camera for their systems. Now, as you can see, they're just showing you it with this lovely gentleman doing some fly fishing. I miss those days. If we have a look at the droplet video, you know, it's a very, very interesting piece of kit. Some absolutely awesome slow-mo. And it's going to be available to be used with a number of their aerial products as well. And I'll take a look down a bit further now. You can see it. It's very cool. Now, it's designed to be used with their Movi gimbal series. So it can be plugged in, full control from up to 2,500 feet. Small, robust, lightweight. It has a locking E-mount lens system. So just to show you that. As I said, it's Super 35. But this is an entire custom in-house camera. Now, there's something else I'll show you on this now when we get a bit further down. It has GPIO, Bluetooth Wi-Fi, red mount compatible, locking E-mount, open API, which means it can be used with many systems, ArduPilot, PX4, IMU data, USB-C, etc. And as I said, it's got some quite incredible frame rates on this thing. You know, up to 4K 422 frames a second, 2K 1600, or max frames is 9,259 at 2048 by 128, which is a bit of a strange resolution to say the least. But yeah, it's quite interesting. And it's from Freefly themselves, so it's a bit of a weird one. You know, you've got this video here, which is quite interesting to say. I watched 2 of these earlier. You can see the props spinning up at that slow-mo, and then this other one, which is even more interesting, is you showing it at even more slow-mo, which is, you know, it's quite incredible frame rates, but it's just a bit of a strange release in my opinion. Now, they've put a blog post up about the development of this camera. As you can see, it's quite interesting. It's got the power socket, HDMI, the communications port, and then USB-C, all made out of CNC aluminium. It can be adapted to go on a Movi Pro, on a gimbal, on a buggy like that, which is awesome. Absolutely awesome. I love that. We've then got it handheld, dash cam, on a FPV quad, and then on a larger aircraft such as the new Astro. Now, the interesting thing is they say it's been made in partnership with Kiryu, who I can't really find a lot of information about. But Shane Colton is the person, and he's got a cracking blog post up where they talk about making this camera. Now, I will link to this in this video when it's finished, because it is quite interesting. And he talks about the process they took to make this thing. Now, building a camera is certainly no small feat in itself. Certainly building a Super 35 camera isn't, that's for sure. But they talk about the spec. You know, they're using the AMS CMV 1200 camera sensor, showing you the resolution, 4K frame rates. They're showing all of that. E-mount, they're using that's the processor they're using, and it's the first full crane camera they've built. So yeah, it's a very interesting piece of gear, because you have a relatively small company making a camera that, you know, in some ways you're not seeing from the likes of Sony, Panasonic and others. And whilst it is a specialist piece of gear, it's quite interesting. So I will put a link to that in the description of this video, and it's going to be interesting to see how they get on and sell this thing, because if they're making cameras like that, there's no reason they can't make a fully integrated camera platform for their aircraft. You know, they make the Movi gimbals, they make the Astro aircraft, the Alta, the Alta 8, the Alta 6, all of these, yet they don't have a full aerial imaging solution on board. So it's going to be interesting to see how this all gets on. But I thought it was a real strange release. I honestly did think it was a strange release. Just catching back up on the comments, because I didn't have you guys up when I was looking at that. I can hardly force you in Germany. Stop talking about the price. Who delivers the tech to them questions, I guess. Actually, Rotor Riot will push Fat Shark for racing. Hello, Robino. How are you doing? Start spring 2021. DJI can surprise us with a version 2. Yeah, and you know, you got to take into account with DJI on this FPV thing, jumping back to that a minute. You know, this isn't DJI's first roadshow. This is the 8th version of their FPV system. It's not even the first set of goggles. It's the second set of FPV goggles. It's actually the third, but technically those two systems were the same. But it's, you know, so DJI tomorrow could create a version of this for racing. Different algorithm, tuned for better performance. They could do it tomorrow if they wanted to. Absolutely could. I think DJI will stick with freestyle, more generic FPV. Their system already owns that market. Yeah, and I agree with that, Bruce. I still think DJI, you know, all of these rumors around this new aircraft, I still think it is true, and I do think it's going to happen. And I think what DJI will try and deliver is an aircraft that has the capability of delivering some of that freestyle footage without having to put a GoPro on the top. You know, DJI's Rocksteady is good, but it isn't as good as GoPro's. GoPro have now taken that to the next level, but DJI are very good at innovating quickly. So all they now have to do is innovate quicker than they innovated before. And they could do a mix of hardware and software image stabilized to get there. They might not be as good as GoPro for their full onboard image stabilization, because of GoPro does a lot of it in software afterwards, which is the clever piece of it. And let's be blatantly honest with DJI, software isn't their strongest point from a user point of view. Their software can often be clunky, it can often be difficult. So whereas GoPro offer really good all-in-one solution, I think DJI would struggle with that. So what you're more likely to see out of DJI is a combination of hardware and software. So not a gimbal, but some stabilization, as we've seen by some of the images, alongside some software stabilization. That might not be quite as good as what GoPro are doing, but it will get you there, and it will get closer to it as well. So I do think we could see that. I do honestly think we could see that. But who knows? I don't know anything. There's some rumors. Type E, what about the DJI event? Right, technically, there's a DJI event on the 14th, which is announced by the Enterprise. I would also keep the 15th in your diary as well, if you like ground-based systems. I don't know any more than that. I don't know any more than that. Break time for 22, thumbs up. Time for a break. Thank you, Type. I need a drink, that's for sure. I certainly don't think it's over for DJI, and I do think a craft will come. But they could be waiting on something. I'm going to have my Jaffa cake as well. While we have a break, I'm having a Jaffa cake. And I catch up with the comments. Now, I've just thought of something I'm going to check at the same time. And it's about GoPro. I'm just trying to see where I saw this. Now, I'm sure I've seen it on Gary's website as well. So I want to see if it is first before I share it. And it is interesting. And that is, we'll bring it up. Oh, what happened there? It's weird. Oh. I hit the wrong button, that's why. GoPro has reported that sales of the Hero 9 Black have pushed its paid subscriber members beyond expectations. Now, it's worth remembering they've sold this GoPro with this subscription model this time. You're still paying for it. So you could pay $450 to get it on its own, or $349 if you opted to add the 1 year subscription to the company's paid service at their basket. Now, I haven't looked too much into this. It's resulted in a substantial increase in sales, because I think that includes subscription, does it not? Let's just go GoPro. I haven't actually checked this myself. Let's go on the GoPro Hero 7. So there you go. So yeah, so it's £329 in the UK, includes 1 year subscription to GoPro, or £429 without the subscription. So you're paying £100 less and getting a subscription. The only thing you have to do is then unsubscribe at the end of the year. So it is a very interesting thing. And GoPro are being very clever here with this, because what they're doing is tying you in. Because how many people forget? You know, classic of this was me, Amazon Prime. The first year I got Amazon Prime, I forgot they had my credit card details, and it automatically renewed for the next year. Now, I wouldn't ever change it now because it's fantastic for me. But back then, I wasn't using it that much. So it is a classic example of that. They'll have your card and your money on site, and it'll be an automatic renewal in there, I suspect, somewhere. But it is an interesting one to see how they've done it, and the fact that it's resulted in a considerable boost to the volume of paid GoPro subscribers. But are they paid GoPro subscribers really? And this is the problem with this. If you look at this, they're saying that, unsurprisingly, the tactic has resulted in a boost to the volume of paid GoPro subscribers. No, it's resulted in an increase in GoPro subscribers. They are not paid. They've had 1 year given to them free. So more than anything, this is going to be used for shareholders as a market, as a look how well we're doing because we've got all these paid subscribers. But you will actually have to break these numbers down to see if they're paid or not. Because remember, this hasn't even been out 2 months yet. So they're not paid subscribers. It's increased the number of subscribers to the platform, but they're not paid at this point. Now, on paper, they might be putting it down as paid because of the way they do it for tax purposes and all of that crap. But the reality is, from a revenue point of view, this is not money in the bank because they have given it away. But they're saying it's done very, very well. So it's quite interesting to see. And the deal is £49 a year. So it's not terrible. And for that, as you say, and you get damage replacement. So for certain markets, it actually isn't a bad deal. It's quite a clever move if GoPro can pull it off and if they can make people stay subscribed. And that's going to be very clever, Bruce. It's probably going to make a bit of money. FPV wise, we've all seen the GoPros get blown up. We've all seen them smashed up. Disappear except the guy who forgot. Yeah, exactly. And that's exactly as Type said. So there's a play on marketing here. But what this will do is make the bottom line figures look great, is what it will do. It will make it look like they have a massive subscriber base. So it's interesting. They've done okay, but we're going to have to see how it goes. I haven't seen that many people flying with the new cameras on the new quads. I haven't looked, if I'm honest. It isn't something I've looked into massively. But it is interesting to see. So, yeah, they've done okay out of that one. They've done okay indeed. £329, though, I still think it's a lot of money. In the UK. Total camera replacement for that as well. Yeah, very clever indeed. If we read the terms and conditions, let's just have a look. Offer valid from September and continue until GoPro decide to terminate it. Very clever. I'm just reading. Do they say one per customer? I'm just seeing you have 14 days trade return. Yeah, you can. I'm just trying to see what they say at the end of it. No, it's not clear. I suspect they will do it though. They will redo it. Price of a cigarette GoPro. I'm not gonna re-say Bruce's comment. But yes, I see where you're going with that one, Bruce. I really do. I'm going to put a tweet on Twitter. I've just pressed my tweet button. Wonder if it's worked. I'll have a look. Let's have a look, shall we? I'm just bringing it up. If you've got any questions, guys, before I hop on to the next subject, please do let me know. It's always weird that it doesn't show it properly when I share a live stream. Weird. If I share it, yeah, it clicks over, but if you do a video, it shows up, but when you do a live stream, it doesn't. Just checking in on Facebook, just to see if there's anyone here. No, if you are watching on Facebook, put a comment in the comment section. I can see I have it up and live. It'll be lovely to hear from you guys. For those not on Facebook, on YouTube, and you're new to the channel, welcome first of all to the Sunday night live stream. I missed the beginning. Is our solution now that on screen? That is our solution. Yeah, where is Gary? Gary isn't here tonight. He's probably busy. I won't say what he's doing. He does all sorts of evil and nasty things in the middle of the week. But if you are new, welcome. I do this every Sunday night. This is actually my second channel, not my main channel. If you are new here, I do have a main channel. Let me just show you that. Just get the shilling out of the way. So my main channel is this one here, which is your channel, which is Mads Tech Tips and Tutorials. If you are new, please do check it out. If you're new here as well, please hit the subscribe button here, because I really would love to build this one up. I decided to move my live streams to a dedicated channel about a month and a half ago. So every Sunday night I do a live stream, odd random one in between as well. I will be building them up more over winter too. But the main channel is that one over there. I'd appreciate you checking that one out as well. And that's where the bulk of the content goes on a daily basis. I'm not even replying to that, Bruce. Not going there. I love all my followers, Facebook and YouTube. Trying to see if there's any likes or anything. No, I'm not seeing anything. Now 23 viewers. We've gained one. Welcome, 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 welcome. Does your man have good heating and insulation? Well, that is an interesting subject. Now, for those who don't know, I am in the garage. This is my workshop stroke office. Let me just adjust my chair. I'm in my garage. I do all of my content in my office, workshop stroke garage. A few years ago, this building has changed quite a lot. It's a single concrete block structure. It now has 50 mil of polystyrene insulation with OSB boarding, and that's what you can see. The area you can see behind me is that. Oh God, I haven't got myself up. There we go. You can see me now. And that's what you can see behind me. Is the OSB, and that's where the posters come from and stuff like that, because the idea was it's just a wooden box if I don't have any posters up. So it isn't a garage anymore. The door is actually behind that wall. That's where the actual garage door is. So it's clearly not a garage anymore, but it's an office. I have a log burner in here, is what I actually have. I can't show you the log burner. It's something I will show you on another video. I have a log burner in that corner there. Now, every now and again, you'll hear a noise from it. You'll hear one. I lit it earlier. I think it made a noise then. I'm just trying to see. So in the corner, you can't see, is the log burner. And that's what keeps it warm. But it does need more insulation because the roof is only about 25 mil of OSB. It's an actual small log burner. It's one of the ones you get on eBay. I'll tell you what I bought. It's called a workshop log burner. Right. I'll show you what it looks like. It is that. So that is what I have. It's exactly that. Absolutely identical. So it has, pardon me, just two doors on the front. You then have a little flue, and there's a flue that goes out. It's got some heat bricks in the bottom. And yeah, that's literally what I have in here. It's that little thing like that. And that is in the corner over there. You can't quite see it. Let me just put it. It's over there, that way over there. And I put a couple of bit of coal in there, a couple of sticks, because I've been doing lots of work on the house. I've had loads of wood free, and it is literally, that is identical to mine. Although mine now looks a bit different because these knobs are not as heat resistant as they'd have you think. And I have a habit of, in the real blast of winter, I used to have it burning red hot. All this side would actually glow red. Probably put a bit too much in it. But all of these have melted now. So they're sort of similar to that, but a bit different. But yeah, that's what I have. And that is my source of heating. The ceiling is what needs to be done next. Because it's only like that much OSB and then sheeting. It's not even sheeting, it's EDPM. So it's too thin, so I do lose the heat out the top, and that's the next job I've got to solve. Just reading down. Log burner is an oven, I guess. I usually flush mine. No, it's not made of plastic. It is made of steel. It was 99 quid. It was, get yourself one of those cheap Chinese diesel heaters. I used to have a gas heater in here and it tried to kill me, so I've not using one of them again. Yes, it is. It is nice and warm. I lit it about an hour ago. The problem though with the log burner is there's no regulation of heat. So it either incinerates me or I'm freezing. So what I sometimes have to do is open the door to let the heat out that I've just paid to heat with logs and stuff. But yeah, it works. It's a solution. None of those gas heaters free then. Thank you, Bruce. That's why there's a carbon monoxide detector over there, and I do have one as well. Okay, next. I was going to talk about this DJI thing. And this is on Gary's website, and this is quite interesting. And I'll be honest, I haven't dug into this enough yet. I really haven't. However, this order is very much going through for the US machines, and this is basically that the US government, for governmental use, will only be able to procure and buy machines of this new list. And this new list is called the Blue UAS, or the Blue SUAS, I should say, providing secure, trusted, small unmanned aerial systems capabilities to the US government. And it's actually a really interesting subject, this, because if you go back 12 months, there was nothing here. There was no alternatives in the US against DJI at all. It was, you wanted something industrial, you had the M200 series, you had the Mavic 2 Enterprise. That was it. You know, there was no 3DR. There's been the Parrot Anafi dual thermal, but other than that, that's it. And in a very short period of time, and don't get me wrong, these things don't happen in short periods of time. It just all happens at the same time. We've suddenly got a number of options available, and they are that they can now procure US built, manufactured UAS. Now, let's not pretend these contain all US components, but it should also be added that DJI largely use US owned manufacturers in their drones. The recent Mavic Air 2 was parted out. You know, they go through what parts are in it. They talk about the costs of them, and a large amount of the parts in the Mavic Air 2 are off the shelf US company based products. You know, the Mavic Air 2 is very much a flying smartphone. There's very little IP in it. In fact, there's only one custom chip in the Mavic Air 2 for DJI. That's it, just one. And I believe that's the OcuSync chip. But anyway, these are the 5 UAS that are allowed to be purchased for the US government. Now, if we skip down all the nonsense, the first one is the Ion M440C, which I don't really know a lot about that thing. Quite interesting. The Parrot Anafi USA, which we knew about, which was coming. The Skydio X2, again, another big release we saw a little bit of time ago. Very interesting indeed. The Golden Eagle, another high-profile industrial-grade drone by Teal. And then you got the Vespa, which is a bit of a weird one, this one. But that is the aircraft. Now, this has very much been heading through, and it's now been signed through. So the basics of this are that if you want to do work for the US government or US military, you must be using one of these aircraft. But that isn't just work for the government. Let me just bring the chat back up. This is very much if you want to fly over governmental land, and that really is an awful lot of requirements and area. You know, it's a huge amount of area that you're going to have one of these 5 drones for. And literally overnight, you've gone from being able to use DJI equipment to not at all. And it really does put things in a very interesting position. And as Gary has quite rightly said, this has very much fallen under the radar, and there's a reason I haven't spoken about it now, because I just haven't had the time to dig into it too much. You know, it's very much legislation, it's very much law, and I wanted to understand it a bit more before I even spoke about it. But as Gary has said, and Gary has popped up, as we can see, he's now in the chat. Hello, Gary. And the comment here is no federal land flying for any others, even if they are made in the USA. And this is the interesting thing. You will only be able to use one of those 5 drones. It's a license to print money for those companies. And Skydio, for instance, are very much in the middle of this now. And, you know, frankly, the consumer market for them, they don't even need anymore. You know, the S2 has done its job. It got them noticed. And the X2 is where the coin's at, because selling drones to the public for $999 is, you know, it's not where the big money is. Selling the X2 to the military for whatever price that comes at is huge, and that is where it gets very, very interesting. Now, it really is the start of something very big, and I say it's the start because this is shifting through and it's happened. But it has overnight created a situation where DJI was the #1 player in all the areas for the most part, and now they're suddenly a very small player in the proper industrial landscape in the USA and not allowed to be involved for governmental use at all. Over governmental land, anything to do with government, out the door. Now, a point Gary mentioned just now was, will there be any more companies than these 5 UAS? If we look at the US government in their approach to legislation for the drone industry in the US, for instance, if we look at the FRIs they were talking about, which was the flight zones as part of the NPRM, there was only ever going to be the ones registered at the start. And then they were talking about closing the doors. So there will never be any more. And it is very interesting that, again, another governmental department is registered 5 drones, but will anyone else get on this list? Will DJI ever be allowed on this list? Even if they produced a drone manufactured in the US tomorrow, we know large amounts of their aircraft are made with US company parts, with all American software. Would they be allowed to be involved? And the chances are no. And that's the reality here. So it's a very interesting situation, and it's one that has literally changed overnight. And whilst, as I said earlier, this hasn't been happened overnight, it's been a long time coming. It's been building slowly and slowly and slowly. But what you've suddenly had is a number of these aircraft come to market at the same time. Now, there is a large question here. Can you even buy these? You know, this bit of paper, so if I show you this, it gives you the contacts. If you want to order yourself one, guys, look, you know, if we go down the list about the project, you know, it gives you the contact, contact that person for that thing. Contact, there's a form for the Parrot and Alpha USA. For Skydio, it's Chuck. So, the contact's there. But would you even be able to buy one of these? What's the waiting list on these? How long is it before you need one? If you are someone who is into wildfires, search and rescue, saving people, wildfire, following all of that, are you going to be able to get one of these aircraft? So there's a lot of unanswered questions here. Parrot is French, type correct, but they are making the Anafi USA in the US. Just catching up on the comments a second, guys. Just scrolling down. Yes, well, Gregory, I have seen your comment, mate. I'll address that in a minute. Let's do some discussion. Again, per fans. Yep. It really is very interesting times, and overnight things have changed dramatically. It puts the M300 in a very interesting position, because I'm really not sure, outside of general commercial operators, who DJI are going to be able to sell this to in the US right now, because no one's going to want it. No one is going to want it at all. So this is a very big deal. It is a massive deal. And as Gary has quite rightly said, it has gone under the radar. It has gone under the radar, I should say. And we're going to have to see where all of this ends up. Hotpoint Hoodlum, hello, welcome, my friend. Now, I just want to address Gregory's comment before I move on. I can't say, okay, there are certain things I can't talk about. So I can't tell you what you want to know. I would love to, but I can't. Part of it is because I don't fully know, but what I do know I can't talk about. I've been told the 15th is a day you want to keep an eye on. But again, if you are using a camera, what I will say is this. Look at the Ronin S and then the Ronin SC. One is bigger because of payloads. I can't comment on what a in theory new product might be able to do. But just wait and see. And again, like all of these things, it's not just about the lens, it's about balancing and things like that. It's going to be interesting. We've already just doing tomorrow, lots of extra special bits going on. Yeah, there's all sorts going on at the moment, isn't it, Gary? All of that little stuff in the background. You've got the remote ID in the US and all of that as well. It's, we had the NPRM a little bit of time ago and it all went quiet and it's all squeezing through. It really is. Don't forget your friends and colleagues. Don't forget to tell your friends and colleagues about the stream. Yes, please do. Please tell anyone. We got 26 people watching tonight. It's fantastic. Welcome, 26 of you. So, okay, I'm missing something here. Bruce is up to something, is he? Is that what it is? I am missing something. So, he's working hard. Is he tweeting? He doesn't use Twitter. So, what is he doing then? I need to go and have a look. Is he writing it on the walls of public urinals? Is that what it is? Home. Let me just write on the home. He hasn't shared my post, so he doesn't use Twitter normally. You just refresh the page on Twitter just to see what's going on. So what's he up to? Someone's gonna have to tell me now. I know Bruce. Yeah, he's always up to something. Just marketing. Oh, Bruce is handling the marketing for today's live stream. Thank you, Bruce. Today's video, ladies and gentlemen, is sponsored by XJet. If you don't know, please check out his 2 YouTube channels. He's put it on Bebo, MySpace. He might have put it on Facebook. But welcome, whoever you are. If you're new here, please do welcome. We've covered Fat Shark being sold for $250,000. Plus £5.75 million in A shares, I think the term I'll use is. Tech Wazzers. We've covered that. I'm just trying to think there was something else. We've covered the GoPro thing as well. Is there anything you guys want to know about? Please do put it in the comments. Anything you want to ask me? It's only been an hour. Feels a longer one tonight. It really does. I still haven't, while I'm waiting for the questions to come through, I still haven't moved the microphone. I need to figure this out because the boom is a bit big and in my face. The audio level, I got the fat head in. There's a video coming about this fat head this week. It probably won't interest many of you, but I do take it apart and show you what's inside. And for £62, I'm showing you what I'm paying £62 for, which is me scratching my head. Blue stuff, which has amazed me. That was bigger than the blue stuff that amazed me. The Fat Shark, are you saying there, Gary? The Fat Shark was bigger than the blue stuff. I think the Fat Shark community blew up very quickly. Although the views on the videos aren't high. If you look at all of the videos on that, not just mine, because no one watches my content anyway. But the views on it weren't massive. My video's only done 1,600 views. Pavel's has only done 6K. Bruce's would have done it. Who's Bruce's? Bruce's has done 10K, which is good, but it hasn't, it hasn't blown up. Ashes has done 1,000 views. It sort of hints at how limited the market is in some ways. It really does. Yeah, the only problem is it is a dynamic. Now, I could put the boom up here and have it there out of view, but distance-wise then, you would be talking, just to give you an idea, you're going to be talking that. Now, sorry, I'm hooked onto a cable on my chair. Let me just stop that. So if I'm there, I'm not sure what is the audio level like from that point there. If I did put it up there, don't get me wrong, I could bring it up a touch if I needed to. But what is the audio level like at that point there if I did put it up out of view? Is it okay? Does it sound like I'm quite far away from the microphone? Because if I did put it up there, it is going to increase some distance. It really is. Zip tie is a bit heavy for a zip tie, Bruce. It's a little bit heavy for a zip tie. But yeah, I'm just intrigued. Obviously, I can dump the game up, not far enough away. Okay, thank you. This is when I stop listening to what Bruce tells me because I can't trust him now. I need to turn that back. Yeah, a bit quiet. I could probably boost it, you know. With it. Okay, so I've dropped the gain up a tad on that now. So what is I've put the gain up on the amplifier a tad more as well, just to see what that's like at that distance. Just looking on OBS, I'm just turning my head because I got the thing behind me. It's interesting to see what it is like, and that's the problem. You start picking up the room at that point. You start bringing in the noise of the room. If I take it at that. How's the new secret hideout, Bruce? Yeah, he's still in hiding if you don't know. Now I'm just gonna come back in, drop that down before I do. Okay, so just to bring it back in, ladies and gentlemen, let me just readjust. Sorry about the noise. Not much more distance. Try to move it up over your head right now. Okay, we'll go for a second. Right, be careful. This is going to make a bit of noise. Okay, so that is probably roughly. It would have to go up a bit, tad more. There, that is probably where it's going to end up if I did it. Now, what is the audio levels like? Now, if I drop it up a tad, that's where it would end up. You can't see it there now. You can just see the arm in the corner. If you're going to mount it overhead, yeah, that's the problem. You need an overhead shotgun. This mic really isn't designed as an overhead shotgun. I'd need to get one of those silly priced ones. But that gives you an idea of what it would be like at that height if we did do it that way. But anyway, let's get back in down there. Sorry about that, ladies and gentlemen. No, that's the problem in it. So we are back as we were. And then we go down for the radio voice. Throat is going. Down serves better. That's that. Oh, not drinking that now. That looks terrible. Okay, so just catching up on the comments, guys. Make sure I just set the amp. The amp is up there. What you can't see is the audio amplifier is there. Just catching up on the comments. It's a show off mic. Well, it's a show off mic covered up because it's got a cover on it. Yeah, I have been looking at some of the booms for over the top. Gerald uses. I can't remember what Gerald uses. Gerald Undone. I can't remember. He uses a shotgun, but the room is a tad echoey. If I did use it that way, tell what I have noticed is when you're using a mic like this, your neck hurts because you are talking into it. You're still putting your head forward to talk into it. Okay. just catching up on the comments. If you guys have got any questions, please do let me know. Just going to check in on Facebook again. Yep, we're still on Facebook. Still no comments. If you are watching live on Facebook, say hello. Put a comment in the video for me. But yeah, there's been a lot going on this week. So the Blue UAS thing, really just to finish that up, it is quite a fundamental change in the industry. If you haven't seen, Brendan has been very much posting about this. You know, if we check out, and Brendan has been very much tweeting about this on Twitter a lot. Scroll down. You know, he's done a number of things this week talking about regulation based on logic, not fear. You know, fear-based policies, make regulation based on logic. There's also been, and I don't really know how I feel about this, there's also been a few interesting comments by Skydio. And I can't decide if I like it or not. Let me just see if I can find any of them. Where is it? And Skydio have got quite an interesting marketing department, and so I'm gonna put myself up so you guys can see. And there's been one or two comments which I do think they're being a bit petty about, in the sense of, you're sometimes better, in my opinion, just doing your thing and not worrying about the competition. And I have seen a couple of comments from Skydio on DJI's postings, and I've just thought, why go there? I don't think it ever looks good, does it? I'm trying to see if I can see it. I'm sure they were on Brendan's posts. It's not that one. Is it this one? Nope, it's not that one. Just trying to see if I can see it, because I did think you're sometimes better just saying nothing is my thoughts. No, I can't see it. They seem to have gone. There was an interesting... Was it this one? No. There was, you know, Skydio put out this video this week, and I actually picked up on them for it, which was, I think, as well, Bruce commented on it as well, actually. If I just jump to it, Skydio. They put out their video... Oh, that didn't work. Skydio. And they put out their video... They put out a video saying what it would be, you know, DJI versus Skydio, basically, on the object avoidance. Now, just to be clear, they are night and day different. However, I took a bit of objection with their video as well, because what they weren't showing was apples for apples. If you're going to show a product, you need to show it the way it's intended to be used. I'm just trying to find the comment. You know, this is a classic example of the Skydio stuff. I think at times is a little bit petty, and you know, Skydio, there's a couple of things they've got involved with which I just thought, really, you'd be better just carrying on with your stuff. But let me just find this video. I just want to show you. Here it is. It's Skydio tracking versus DJI, they're saying. Oh, it isn't this one, actually. I don't think it is. This is different. This is a better video because they're showing you it. See, this is fair. You know, no issues with this at all. 100%. That's legit. No issues at all. Looks fair. You know, it's lost the tracking. Where was the point it lost it, actually? So it lost him there. A lot more height. And he dropped it. Yeah, I've seen them do that. I've had it do that. Absolutely. Had it happen. They've got a bit more distance. I do notice there is a bit more. You know, the DJI just doesn't look well. And what they're showing is the beacon disconnected on the Skydio. So they're showing you what it does to regrass, whereas the DJI one just lets go. Yeah, that's 100% legit. No issues with that at all. That happens. Absolutely. That happens. What I'm trying to... here it is. It's this video. They're posting a lot of videos like showing the DJI aircraft crashing. I'm just trying to see. They were showing you one where they showed one versus the other, and I just felt, because I commented on it myself, I just said, you've got to show it apples for apples. Like that one there. That Skydio video there. Brilliant. Here it is. This one here. So if we just look at this one. So first fight with Skydio, first fight with DJI. Now, what they're saying is the Skydio's flying itself and the pilot's flying DJI. Now, he's in sports mode there because you can tell by how fast he's flying it round, and then he flew it into a tree. Now, I just don't think that's a realistic comparison of a drone. So if we start it again. So first flight with Skydio, first flight with DJI. Now, just look at the moves the DJI pilot is making. Lots of sharp, angular movement. There you go. And he flew into a tree. And look, he flew into that tree. There's no question about that. So I just felt that Skydio were not showing equals on that one. They're not, you know, if you're going to show it, let me just stop that. I can see it flickering in my corner of my eye. If you're going to show a comparison, make it fair, make it the same, just like they did in that first video. You're showing active track versus the Skydio track. Active track lost, Skydio won. 100%. We agree with that. Absolutely. Whereas the other one, I think it's just not the correct comparison. It's in sport mode. I can see that. The jerkiness is sport mode. They do not fly like that in normal GPS mode. DJI's object avoidance doesn't work in sport mode. That's the nature of the beast. They also could have used APS, the DJI version where it flies it for you, because there is an equivalent in the DJI one where it will fly around objects when you fly towards them. You know, you can turn that on. But yeah, it is interesting. Let's just scroll down. Cartons on the wall. Castle, France. Gary, aggressive. Yeah, there's a few comments I've just seen a few times, which I just think, really? Why go there? In my experience, having run a number of businesses, quite unsuccessfully, I might add, you're far better concentrating on your own and not everyone else, because this stuff will come to bite you on the arse. You know, we've already had a Skydio fly into that bridge. There's no question the pilot was pushing his luck, but it still crashed. Just checking the comments. Did Parrot twist the knife in its marketing? What's there? Listen. Lucky boy, Hot Point Hoodlum. It's only Brendan and Kat left. It's very few DJI employees in the US. Very few indeed. Gary, racist as well. Is that the Skydio comments, or have I missed something on that, Gar? Logging trees win. Yeah, they are. Yeah, exactly. It's all politics all over again. Mac Vision, 100%. It really is. It's only a matter of time before Skydio brings down an airliner. Roboxy, and these are all young VC dudes. Yes, yeah, the Chinaman. Yeah, it's very distasteful. It's very distasteful, and you know, it's fair to say DJI are a mature company now in the sense of, I have a huge amount of respect for Brendan. I don't know him. I've had the privilege of talking to him once or twice. Regardless of if you agree with DJI or some of their stuff or some of his job, Brendan's job is to defend DJI. In my experience, I have found him straightforward. Every time I've dealt with him, I found him straightforward. I've had a number of chats with him over the years. I found him absolutely sound. No issues at all. He's fairly straight shooting. I think at times, he walks a very fine line, but that's the world he walks in. And I just think some of this is just petty. If you're going to do it, you have to be careful what stones you throw, because at some point one of them is going to bounce back and hit you, and that's the problem you're going to have. And I do think Skydio need to be very careful. They clearly have a young, new, energetic team there. That's for sure. I just do think they need to wind their neck in a little bit on Twitter. To say the least. We wish them all the best. Adam, I had the privilege of talking to Adam on Gary's show. Fantastic. Come across, so knowledgeable. The guy come across amazingly well. He really did. I'd love to talk to him again. I still would love to get my hands on one of these damn aircraft. Can't get one. But yeah, I think they need to be a bit more careful on Twitter. I think they need to concentrate on their products and worry about that, because it isn't all rosy. I can bring up posts now of people having problems with deliveries, people having problems with accessories, people having problems not being able to get the product, people having bought the product 6 months ago still waiting on shipping. So you have to be very careful at the stones you throw. They're not perfect. They do have issues. But yeah, that's just my comment on that. I'll leave that there. Now, I've just thought of something which is going to be my last thing I will bring up, and that is that there was a big firmware update released for the Autel Evo 2, and there's a little bit of interesting thing about this. I just want to bring it up. Now, this firmware has been beta tested. Where's their firmware update? Do they actually, I don't even know if they post their updates on their website. Because, it might be on Facebook. I might have to find it on Facebook. Actually, I might have to find it on Facebook on my phone. Let me just have a look. Because it's interesting, because the weird thing about it is Autel released it as a beta firmware. Then 2 days ago, they told everyone to stop using it. There's a problem with it. And now they've released the full version. So they've gone from going, use the beta, try it out, then saying to everyone, stop using it, and then releasing it to the public. Not saying if the issue they told everyone to stop using it for has been fixed. Let me just find it. I just want to find it because I did see it. Let me just find it. Right, so yes, they have now released a new app with firmware, which is added Evo 2 RTK support. That is interesting in itself. Who is Autel, says Gary. Very good point, Gary. Not sure we any of us know. Added the 430, the 640, camera and radiometric support for specific regions only. Added a number of other things. So they've added IMU calibration. We need that. RTK support. So that must mean there's an R2K coming. Or it's out. I've missed this, so I need to check on this. Added moving time lapse, recorded live streams, added live stream support for YouTube, added indoor mode, or optimized it, no GPS connection, basically the same as DJI had. Added live deck IP address change, added third access calibration. Now, the interesting is, that, as I said, that they released the app on a beta and then they went, it's out, but they told everyone in the meantime to stop using it. So no one knows if it's been fixed or not. No one knows if they've actually dealt with this problem or not. But there is a new version of the app out and firmware alongside it. Now, as I said, what's interesting there is they've said added, let me just bring it up, support for the RTK. So that would imply that an RTK version of the aircraft is coming. Let me just find the exact post on it. Okay, so use the new app. Yeah, added Evo 2 RTK. I haven't even seen this. Evo 2 RTK. Is this something I've missed? Just looking down. No. Yeah, Evo series. Yeah, there must. Okay, so what are they saying? So what are they actually? So they've got this listed on their website just to show you. Okay, so we've got this here. Centimeter level with RTK high precision. So this would either imply that they've got rover support within the Evo 2 already, which means it would be M8P chipset, or it's a bolt-on. But, okay, recommended P. Aha. So Evo 2 Dual and Evo 2 8K. So this is interesting because Evo 2, is their website still as bad? Evo 2 Pro, Evo 2 Dual. Okay. So specifications, what we want is GPS. It's just having a look, see what it actually says. Power, sensing system, yes. Battery, charger, app, storage. So is it under the sensing system? Remote controller and transmission, look. Gimbal. No, it's not under sensing. You would think it would be under aircraft, wouldn't you? So what they're saying here, hover position. That's all we've got here. Vertical in normal operation with GPS in normal. Visual position. See, there's no hint of RTK there at all. So are they saying anything about RTK as an option? Or is it a bolt-on? Is it a separate aircraft? But they're saying it's compatible on this. Very strange indeed. I'm probably going to have to dig into this a little bit more and try and understand it because, you know, there's very little info on this at all. Very little. You know, they've definitely got that page for it, which, you know, if we go back, mapping, you know, we've got, that's the DJI one. Or not. Yeah, that's the DJI one. Yeah, very strange. Very strange indeed. Yeah, so they've certainly got this page up which says, you know, how industry, centimeter level accuracy, but there's very little actual info. But is it? Yeah, very strange. Very strange indeed. More info is needed on that one. More info is needed on that one indeed. Let's just catch up on the comments. Prince Harry's middle name. Does the firmware upgrade to a 12K camera? Yeah, knowing Autel, definitely. We all know what Autel are like for pushing the boundaries on specifications, because calling that thing 6K, it is not 6K. It is simple as that. Okay, guys. That, I think, is it. Just to recap, we've got Fat Shark. If you are a Byte Frost user, you can get your early access to Shark Byte for $250. Speak to Get FPV. I believe they will know what it's all about. Really interested to see what people think. It's going to be interesting to see how that whole Rotor Riot thing develops and where it ends up, and is it going to be pushed for racing. Don't get me wrong, there's still a few angles. DJI do not have a proper video solution out, HDMI. So Fat Shark can win in that area as well. And there is a market for it. So we're going to see. We've covered the deal. We've spoke about that new camera from Freefly Systems. Really interesting bit of kit, the Wave. Gonna have to see how that ends up. Strange bit of kit indeed. Spoke about the DJI Blue list. Worth checking that out if you are an enterprise user. And I suspect we'll be talking about that, Gary. And we spoke a little bit about Autel and a few other things as well. I'm going to wrap this one up, guys. I want to thank you all for spending some time with me on a Sunday night. Wherever you are in the world, I hope you are safe and well, because wherever you are, this thing is appearing to blow back up. So do make sure you're staying safe from the human malware situation. Please do make sure that you are doing everything you can do. We will be live again on this channel Sunday night next week. Not sure what time, usually 10 p.m. UK, but I can't remember when the clocks change. It will be moving to 9 o'clock UK very, very soon. This week, there is some upcoming events which I can't talk about, but please do check them out, and I will be talking about them if there's anything interesting to talk about. Wrapping with the Sunday. This week, I'll be releasing a couple of non-drone related videos. I'm working on the CUAV video. That will be out probably the middle of the week as well, all being well. And then I've got some equipment I need to order in. I am a bit lapse on doing RC related stuff at the moment, purely because of this work I'm doing on my home. I'm nearly there. As soon as that's finished, I'll be able to actually relax a little bit and get back onto the bench and actually get the rover done and all of that stuff. It's all in the background. It's all ready to be done. I just need to get some time to actually do it. That's it, guys. Please do stay safe wherever you are. If you are not a subscriber, please do consider hitting that button. If you're interested, check out my other channel as well. There is a link to that. Stay safe, and I'm going to figure out now how to turn this one off. So on YouTube, I've got some buttons, and then I've got to go onto Facebook and do it differently as well. So wherever you are, YouTube and Facebook, thank you very much. Take it easy, and see you this time again next week. Hit button 1. Hit button 2.